My big suggestion to students, particularly through high school, is
you can do anything.
Choose it for you, not for it is worth it.
Just focus on the next
Doesn't
step.
matter what you're doing.
Don't be afraid.
As long as you're doing
That
something.
is such good advice.
I don't think I could see myself doing
It's a
anything else.
challenging life.
Student nights, Wednesday to
Oh,
Saturday.
I worked on that house.
I racked up every single dollar of debt that I
I
possibly
think there's
could.
a lot of pressure on high school.
Yeah, I
kids
just
these
love
days, right?
working outside.
And if money is something that you care a lot
In
about,
hindsight, that
I've
was...
also been a very indecisive
But you
person.
keep looking for roads that have been less
It
travelled.
was just that moment that I knew what I wanted to do. So nothing else is going to change that.
Welcome to the guest speaker.
Check out that moustache.
I grew it especially for you.
Just to make me feel bad. Yeah, good to see you. It's been a long time.
I know, hasn't it?
Yeah.
10 years, 11 years?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Mate, it's the only thing I don't pick when I run into ex-kids is I just can't piece where they are. Like, did they leave 3 years ago? And then one of them will go, oh, no, my kid's now at school and you teach them. And I'm like, oh, time to go. Thanks for participating. And I think what I'm excited about for this one is it's just not a career path that, well, one, many people won't choose, but would either also not know about. And I think particularly, and I'm not being sexist, particularly for some boys who love, maybe outdoors, they're great at outdoor ed, they're strong, they're fit, and that they're sort of looking for something, and they often maybe gravitate to the police maybe because it's a common thing. So I'm really hoping this is, it's going to open a lot of people, and if nothing else, it's going to be an exceptionally interesting one. So look, my background research was you work for Fire and Emergency New Zealand. That's sort of the title. Yeah. Yep. There's 14,000 firefighters in New Zealand, but only 1,854 professional ones, which you are one of. And I'm presuming if I took a stab, are they in Auckland? Or are they in every major?
So most major centres will have a career fire station. Whangarei down to Invercargill. Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, the main centres will have multiple. Hamilton near you that has three career stations.
Right.
But once you get out into the more rural areas and smaller towns, it becomes a volunteer-dominated service.
Yeah. Yeah, look, and I suppose that was what I was going to touch on before I get you chatting, was there's 11,000 volunteer firefighters. And I know my son, he's got a mate who does it. And in the community I've just moved to, there's a young girl called Mila who joined on her 16th birthday. And she's just won a Yellow Ribbon Road Safety Hero for her efforts around road safety. She does a lot in the community. But she's in the volunteer firefighters, and they use her as like the test dummy in the cars. And I just thought, what a wonderful thing for a young girl to be doing. That obviously is probably associated with dad. But I just wanted to shout out to all those people that maybe like you aren't choosing it as a career. But my God, without them, we'd be stuck. So, something to. And I again, before I start, your career would have to be the one I'd love to pull out of my hat at a party. Like. If I could do something, I want to say I'm a firefighter. Like it reeks with that image of the movies and, like it's got a real swagger about it. And I don't know whether that's the reality of the job, but, to borrow uniform sometime and hit town would be pretty cool. So look, with all said and done, I just want to take you back, but we all know you're eventually going to end up telling us you're a firefighter and about that career. What was school like for you? So for those little kids sitting there who think, am I like him? Am I, so what particularly secondary school, how did it go for you? What were you good at? What were you not good at? Yeah, give us a background.
I don't remember I wasn't overly academic at school. I really enjoyed PE, anything that got me out of sitting down in the classroom. Those are my favorite things.
Yeah.
I enjoyed history and the social studies side of things. But I wouldn't say I wasn't like a math whiz or anything like that. I would have sort of coasted through, bang average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you weren't in lots of trouble, but you did what you had to do. You passed, you got CA, did you?
Yeah. Made sure I got university entry. That was my only real goal. And yeah, just had a lot of fun, really. Looking back, just had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you're sitting there as a young student in the secondary education system. What were your thoughts as a kid about what after school? Were there multiple choices you had? Were you completely confused? What did you do to make decisions, or was it an obvious one?
For me, I think you spoke about a lot of firefighters have family members that do it, like through their parents. So my dad was a retained firefighter in the UK before we moved to New Zealand as I was a kid growing up. And it was always something I was interested in. It was always a job I had in the back of my mind anyway.
Okay.
I'd always had other ideas about what I might want to do as well. But I was quite lucky in that sense that I always sort of had this as something I might want to do. I wasn't, I know a lot of people struggled trying to find a career that they're interested in. So yeah, I find myself quite lucky for that.
Right. So you didn't even dabble in anything else. You left school at what, 17, 18?
Right.
Straight
So, no, so one thing I knew about, we had some family friends in the fire service over here as well. And a bit of advice I got was obviously that we don't take firefighter recruits. We try not to take them straight out of high school too young. We'd like them to have a bit of life experience and see what kind of skills they can bring into the job with them. So for my first 2 years out of high school, I spent working I did a few different jobs. I was like a drain laying labourer for the summer directly after school. I went into, around that time, the ultra fast fibre internet cabling network that was just being rolled out. So me and a mate from high school, we ended up getting jobs, and we were given our own van, and we were going around into people's houses, running cables through their houses and causing absolute chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I spent the first 2 years doing that. And then I sort of had a look around and sort of thought, what skills would I need to acquire to be able to make myself more desirable as an applicant for the fire service, because it's such a competitive process. To put it into perspective, when I applied for FENS, I think we had over 600 applicants for 10 positions.
Wow.
Sure.
So it's a highly competitive process. So anything you can do to make yourself stand out from the group and make yourself more useful. So I ended up.
What are those things, Joe? What was one of it? The volunteer firefighter? Was there other things you did?
No. So what I did. So since 2015, I believe the fire service has been responding to medical calls with St John's Ambulance and Wellington Free Ambulance. So we respond to anything coded purple or immediate threat to life. So that's basically your CPR jobs, things like that. So I decided I'd go to AUT, and I did a diploma in paramedic science. And that was something I was found out from the recruiters later on. That was the thing that got me across the line.
Right. So how long was that course for, Joe? What did that entail?
I did that for a year. That was a year-long diploma.
Okay.
And so that gets me up to what's called an emergency medical technician level, sort of like the lowest sort of ambulance practice level that you can be paid for.
And what did you learn in that course and that diploma? What are the sort of things they would cover?
It went from the basics, so the basic, like how to do decent CPR, run a good resus. And it went through all sorts of common medical conditions, how to assess patients, taking vital signs. It's a really comprehensive, it was an amazing course. It was really hard, but it was, yeah.
Okay.
No, sorry, the question about that, because like in 1 year to be learning that much, I did a brief stint at AUT and we talked about this yesterday, it does have a bit more of a polytech element where you are quite practical, you're doing things like, was it theory? Well, I'm assuming it was theory but was it also
Yeah.
getting amongst it? Like, I guess when you go to do that diploma, is it just AUT or are there other options? And why did you pick AUT?
Okay. So AUT. So some of the papers at AUT there was a lot of theory stuff to it, obviously, like a lot of science and biology behind it.
Yeah.
And then there were also a few papers, maybe like 1 or 2 a semester, that were practical. And those involved, there was like in the paramedicine lab, you'd be doing skills on dummies and stuff like that. And then you'd also roll out and do road shifts on an ambulance. So I think in my time, I did something like 20 road shifts on an ambulance as well.
What was that first one like? Like, what are you seeing? I mean, obviously it varies depending on call outs there are, but
Yeah.
was there something that made you go like, oh, shift? Like, they're like,
I'm trying to think back whether we had anything overly dramatic. My first shift was fairly tame. They start you off like you do a number of shifts on like a patient transfer ambulance, which is quite low key. You're running people between hospitals, stuff like that. And then once you go onto the frontline emergency ambulance, I'm trying to think the first job. I went to a guy having a seizure, and that was probably the first sort of critically unwell patient I had. Yeah, it's been a long time ago now. It's been 6 years ago.
yeah.
So what, Joe? So at this point in your life, you've been through high school. You've had a couple of years of trying to get life experience, probably in the back of your mind, knowing you're doing that to get in the fire service. You do your AUT course. Are you now applying? And what does that look like in terms of an application process? And you said it's competitive. So how did it look for you?
So I took 2 attempts at recruitment to get in. The first time I made it up to the practice assessment course. I'd have to go through the website and actually run you through there's a lot of steps to the process. Where do I start? The initial step is applying online. You put in your CV and whatever and fill out the forms. And the next step is they do like a fitness test, the confined space test, a heights test as well, working at heights, make sure you're not scared of heights. Then that's sort of pass-fail stuff.
Sorry, Joe, you're saying right here,
Yeah.
I'm shaking on my ladder and I hate small spaces. I'm out. I'm out.
Probably not.
I'm good with a hose, but I'm out.
Yeah.
The confined spaces one, that would be where I was also out. What does that, again, we're going back, but what does that entail?
Okay. So that's it's a pretty good one. That's an intense one. So what they do is they dress you up in the full firefighting kit with a breathing apparatus cylinder on your back. And they put the mask on you, and they'll split you into a team of like 5 of you. They'll put a mask on you, which is blacked out.
Oh, okay.
And then we have at the training facility, we have something called the BATB, the breathing apparatus training building. And what it is, it's a series of tunnels and obstacles. Through.
Nah. I had
given a guideline.
Really my eye machine. No, this is just making me anxious.
So yeah, you're following this. You're given this guideline in your hand, and you're just told, "Don't let go of the rope. Make your way through." Some pretty tight confined spots, and then the instructors will be putting you under a bit of pressure as well, trying to see if anyone. Quite a few people really surprise themselves, and they'll rip their mask off halfway through. They just it won't be for them, but it's about sort of controlling your breathing and staying calm in a stressful situation, and just keep going.
Okay, so you're filling out some forms, you're doing some fitness, you're testing your mental aptitude, if you like.
Yeah.
Then any other stages that you remember?
Yeah, so once you pass those sort of pass-fail things, you'll be invited to the practical assessment course, PAC Day we call it, and there it's they've got a series of like challenges that you get split into teams, and there'll be like puzzles to figure out, and there'll be sort of like a team building day, but the kind of a high stress one. And they use those exercises to test your communication skills, your leadership skills, your problem solving skills. So they sort of assess you on that kind of stuff.
So they're genuinely looking for stress under pressure. Like,
Yeah.
you can't handle, if you get excited, if you rush ahead, if you fall behind, if you scream, if you're just not cutting.
Yeah, it can be pretty. It's so competitive, so it can be pretty cutthroat. They're looking for that stress under pressure, that teamwork, the problem solving. Those are all things that will make you score well on the day. The final stage would be an interview, and you'd join an interview panel and they did one of the star behavioral interview things. I hated that build.
So do you get a letter, Joe, and you're like, or they bring you to a graduate? How does it work? Because you must have been pretty stoked.
Yeah, I was. So obviously the first time I hadn't gotten an interview, I applied. The second time, I think I was told that I was. So they took 10, and I was number 11 on the list. So initially I was told that you were really close, but you haven't made it this time. And then I got a call. So I'd finished uni at that stage. It was summer, and I was working at a place making sort of concrete bench tops and stuff like that. And I got a call one lunchtime saying, "Oh, someone's dropped out of the April course. Do you want to come on the April recruit course?" So at that point, it was just drop everything and try and get myself prepared and ready for that. It was probably 2 months' time until I'd left.
And what's the April course? So now, so you're still not in by the sounds of it?
No.
Okay.
So once you are selected and you've been given a job, you have to fill out some go to your doctor, fill out some medical tests and stuff like that. And then we go to it's a 12-week recruit course at the National Training Centre in Rotorua. And that's a pretty intensive Monday to Friday course where they put you up in a hotel as well with the rest of the recruits. There's maybe 25 of you on a recruit course, 20 to 30 of you. As you spend that 12 weeks just learning the basic skills of being a firefighter before you're allowed loose on the trucks. So yeah, there's a hose week, there's a ladders week. There's a pretty tough 2-week BA breathing apparatus course, which has more of that BAT-B building in it. Sort of a whole week of that with different challenges and exercises you're doing inside that training building. You do a motor vehicle crash extrication course with the jaws of life and they call them the jaws of life in America, but the cutters and spreaders, the hydraulic rescue tools. What else you do? Then there's live fire week as well, where they've got building set up that they can light fires in basically, and you learn the different techniques for interior fire attack and fire behavior, and yeah.
What's the age sex distribution at that stage of those they're accepting into the fire service? How many girls, boys? Are they all now? You're around, I'm guessing, at this stage 23, 4, are you?
I'm 20. I had my 22nd birthday there when I started.
Okay.
The age distribution was, I was probably one of the younger ones. The youngest was probably 20, 21. And it went up to people in their late 30s, early 40s. So there's a broad range. The minimum age requirement's 18.
Okay.
That's
Any girls?
Yeah, we had sort of the 25-ish of us that we had approximately five women. Yeah. And now we have even since I've started, we've had a massive push to try and recruit more women into the fire service. It's definitely something we're trying to do as an organisation.
Yeah. So, okay, what sort of employment contract do you have, Joe? So, okay, we finally made it. We're a firefighter, and then we'll get to the good story soon. But what? Yeah, how does it work? As you know, like in a teacher, we have scales. What do you work on?
Yeah. So, on your first for that 12-week course, your rank is a recruit. And I have to check. I don't believe your job is safe until you've passed that recruit course. You could still be. They sort of operate on a traffic light system there, and if you fail too many assessments, you'll be booted out essentially. So you sort of on a limited contract there, and then once you're on the trucks, your rank is a firefighter. You get given your yellow helmet, and you get given a station to start at, and then from there we have a series of sort of ranks that you sort of progress through over a 6-year period. So you start off as a firefighter, and then you do another few courses. You come back to NTC for a couple of weeks. You do some exams, some written assessments, and over that 2-year period, you become a qualified firefighter. And then from there, you can do another series of courses and exams and assessments and become a senior firefighter, which is the stage I'm at now. And then from then on, there's a number of more courses, more assessments to become station officer and upwards. So once you're an officer, yeah.
Is it a lucrative career, Joe? Like you've got 4 houses, or are you struggling to buy food? What sort of money are we looking? If you don't mind me asking.
No. So I think
Is that gift again, Grace?
here we go. I'll try find the pay scales. Maybe I'll find the pay scales for you after this, and we'll run through it. I remember as a rookie, I was on minimum wage. The recruit pay was minimum wage when I was doing it. And I think my base salary now as a senior firefighter is approximately $76,000. I'll have to look it up. But I get, on top of that, we get allowances for like being a driver or specialist skills we have. And we have the opportunity to work overtime as well to increase our pay.
Right.
So a lot of us that's sort of what we do, a lot of overtime to sort of boost our salary.
Right. Well, what's a day? Are you scheduled? Yeah. What is your scheduling like? Because this is something kids need to consider. Because I don't imagine you're working 9 to 5.
Yeah. So our shift pattern is really good. It's amazing. So we do 2 10-hour day shifts, 2 14-hour night shifts, and then we have 4 shifts off.
Wait, so you're going so we've got, let's just say Monday, Tuesday, 10 hours a day,
So
Wednesday, Thursday, overnight, and then what? Okay, so when do you sleep? Like, how does that work? I feel like your circadian rhythm has to be complex here, Joe.
It can be. It depends how your night goes. So we do have beds on station where we can rest during the night. But at any moment the bells will go and you've got red lights in your room come on, light your whole room up, wake you up.
Yeah.
Then you're out the door within 90 seconds to 2 minutes. So yeah, you're sort of resting, but you're sort of half resting. You know you're gonna be getting up at some point.
Would there ever be a night where like nothing happens? Like, are there like I know probably certain times of the year maybe it's more people starting fire, whatever. I don't know what people do, but like, well, I'm kind of this unpredictability that you could have a night or a night where you're getting all these call outs.
Yeah, I've also done a lot of us with the overtime as well. You could do a 24-hour shift as well.
Unsafe.
So you take the 24. You take the 24-hour shift. Hopefully, it's quiet night to night. And it's backfired me a few times. It's backfired on me, and I've been up for 24 hours at jobs, and it swings and roundabouts. Some nights you get lucky, and you're like, yes, this is awesome. Well, and then other nights it completely backfires, and you're ruined for the next couple of days.
How many people, Joe, are in the station on when you're on? Because there must be a hell of a lot of camaraderie there. Because shit, if you hated half of them, it'd be a long day.
Yeah, I think that's why our recruitment process is so stringent as well. We don't want to hire anyone that's going to make life difficult, and we need team players. So your standard sort of fire truck pumping appliance that you'll see most commonly, that has a crew of 4 on it. So that will have 3 firefighters and an officer.
Yeah.
So that's probably your average fire station in the suburbs will have a crew of 4 at any one time. And then obviously you'll cycle through we call them watches. So there's 4 different coloured watches and each watch has 4 people on it, basically.
Let's get to the really good stuff. This bells go off and the red lights are going. You're about to have a stroke because your heart must go through the roof. To the layman, you're scrambling into some boots and gear, and you're good at it. But for me, it'll take me 15 minutes to get my feet in. Next minute, we're on a truck. I'm thinking they're telling me, "Oh, we're going to a car crash, and there's 4 victims, or there's a how." Are you learning all this? Are you sitting there, or are you just like? Sometimes I see these fire trucks, and the dudes are sitting there like they don't even know where they're off to. What's it actually like?
Yeah. So so you get the bells go, they'll wake you up, and you'll start walking towards the truck in the engine bay, and then our comm center will announce over the speakers what trucks are going, what you're going to, and the address where you're going. And then we sort of have a predetermined set of actions we take for most incidents. So we'll throw on the right personal protective equipment for that incident we're going to. And then once we're on the road, our officer we've got a tablet now in the truck. So they'll read the logs and see if they can find any more details of what we're going to, and relay that to the guys in the back. And they'll start making their plan then, what kind of stuff they want us to grab off, our initial actions we're going to take. But yeah, it is, you are driving into the unknown to a degree. Stop the truck, have a look around and try and figure out what's going on.
And how many times have you rocked up, Joe, and gone, shit, like, this is horrible. Like, there must be some horror. There must be some horror, surely.
Yeah, I think what we do is we're very good at bringing order to a chaotic situation because we've trained so much and we've got our predetermined sort of actions we take. You go through muscle memory, you go through the initial things you're going to do. So like house fire, for example, if you're in the back of the truck, you're going to be the first ones there. The process is the same every time. You hop off the truck, put your breathing apparatus tallies in the board, grab the hose or the delivery that the officer has asked for, and you'll run that to the front door and bring your breaking in tool, your sledgehammer and your Halligan crowbar. You'll bring that to the front door and you'll await instructions there, start up your breathing apparatus, and yeah. So you go through your predetermined muscle memory stuff, and that keeps the panic from getting to you, I guess. Yeah. Particularly once you've been in a while and you've experienced other jobs, it takes more to get you stressed. So the more experienced you are, you've seen it before.
Do you have good support around you, like good psych support? Like, because again,
there's
things you see that we wouldn't want to see. How does that work? I mean, you might handle it fine, but I'm not sure everyone would.
Yeah, we are really good now. Back in the day, it was suck it up, toughen up a bit, but the attitude since I've been in has been amazing. Everyone's able to talk to each other about the traumatic calls and stuff. But there's no bravado anymore or anything like that. The organisation provides us with counsellors and things if we ask for them. I've got a log of traumatic jobs I've been on for future reference in case anything ever catches up with me. I've got a log I can log the traumatic incidents I've been to and when they were and what exactly I saw. Because we've noticed the trauma. It doesn't have to be just one incident. It can sort of accumulate over time.
Yeah.
So it's really good. We got that record now of what we go to. Yeah.
What's the longevity like in the job, Joe? Is it with obviously the intensity of it? Are there 50, 60, 70-year-old firefighters? What does the longevity look like?
A lot of us, a lot of people stay in it for a long time. It's they call it the golden handcuffs. No one wants to. A lot of guys don't want to retire, or once you've done this job, it's very hard to go back to Monday to Friday job. I think a lot of people like this job's it's a vocation, right? Like it's probably the same in nursing, teaching. I imagine is the same. Like you're sort of pulled to this job. It's not a normal job, so going back to like the real world would be quite difficult.
Yeah. If you saw, Joe, just thought as you were talking then, if you walked into a classroom and whether they were 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, what would suddenly, if you looked at a kid and went, I reckon they'd be a good firefighter, what would, because it must happen, you must meet people and you'd think, actually, that dude or dudess they've got something about them. What would that look like?
It's hard to say. I don't think there's one quality that makes you a firefighter.
Yeah, but you're not looking at me and thinking that, are you?
I don't know. You never know. We want people that are practical. So we like traditionally a lot of tradespeople, like tradies, make really good firefighters because they know how to use tools. They can think practically. They know how buildings are constructed and things like that. Team players. So if you're big into your team sports, that's a big plus. The outdoor ed kids, like the ones that enjoy abseiling and stuff like that, a lot of them make good firefighters.
Yeah. Grace wanted me to ask about your calendar shoots.
That I didn't say.
So I said, look, it's pretty inappropriate, but I mean, who am I to stand in the way of people's fantasies? Is that something you get into? Is that a real? Is that a public perception that doesn't even happen and they're not firefighters? Is it?
Oh no! So the recent ones, those guys are all firefighters from Auckland. They've restarted the last couple of years.
Is that on your? Are we going to? As November?
God. Wow. Maybe in the future we'll see.
I'm not hearing the no. Oh, that's funny you say that, Ludlam, because I actually was going to ask you about it because I'm curious. So, in terms of that physical element, because as I'm hearing how rigorous this is, even just to get in, as a member of the public, I'm actually quite pleased because, you want your firefighters to be at that elite level. But in terms of hitting, it's not like you said, it's not a very typical job, but in other jobs, you might have performance metrics or KPIs or things people need to hit. As a firefighter, how do you go like, oh yeah, that's a good firefighter? Do you get assessments physically? Like what?
Yeah, so obviously, as part of the recruitment process, there's that physical assessment day where you're dragging hose and dummies and climbing steps with like weight on your back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they test your deadlift and shoulder press and push-ups. A lot of upper body strength's a really, really important facet of like what it physically takes to be a firefighter. Because you're pushing ladders up above your head, you're pulling things and you're hauling things aloft. So we've got each station has a gym, and an hour out of each shift is set aside for physical training. It's really encouraged. We also get every 2 years we have a physical fitness test as well.
Yeah,
we have to meet.
So it's not like those police you see that you wonder how they ever, set the 10-minute K or whatever they have to do.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Like, I called it. I suppose it's different. Like, you can have like the gym muscles and the fitness that looks a certain way, but there's also just having like some people call them work muscles. and it's stuff that you see, like you might see an old landscape or a drain layer that smokes a pack of cigarettes every day, got a massive beer gut on him and stuff like that. But then you go and see him go to work, and he's still strong as he can work all day type thing. And it's, so yeah, there's not really a, I don't know. I suppose you can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Cool.
Some
Oh,
people
look.
are just yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what Grace has got. I've just found this fascinating because I think as a service for our country in terms of a career, and again, you're in the situation when that person needs you the most, isn't it? It's the responsibility is incredible, and so yeah, I think you'd get that message across to kids really well that if this was something they were looking at, one, life experience is important, which I know they do in police and in many of our services anyway. They'll say, go get a degree or go live a life. So I think that's a good message. Even doing that extra like you did, I'm sure it wouldn't hurt to be a volunteer firefighter, even for yourself, because if you don't like that, well, don't bother. And then
And it'll make your recruit course easier if you've got that experience as well. It might not help with the recruitment process, but it helps with you. Like, you'll know whether you enjoy the work or not, right?
Yeah.
And so you just recommend it, Joe, like to young kids thinking about, well, putting something on their board. It's you love it.
Yeah. I don't think I could see myself doing anything else for the time being. Like, I love my job. I love going to work. Every day is different. You're not sure what you're going to get. I don't get the Sunday night Monday-itis feeling, It's, an amazing job.
Well, I think too, and thank you for saying those things. Like, I'm sure Ludlam notices you're incredibly calm, like, understandably. You would get a smile and a laugh, but you just have this coolness about you. Was that always the case, or do you feel like you've gotten wise and calm at being in this industry, in this field?
I think it's something that served me well in starting this career.
Yeah.
You sort of like inside you might be flapping around. It's like a duck on water, like the feet are going crazy, but on the outside you got to keep a calm sort of exterior. I think I've always been relatively calm and quiet and growing up, so that's probably just who I am by nature. But
some of those guys you work with though, Joe, might have some real big personalities, and
it's a tricky thing. Like, we don't want, because you're spending 14 hours straight with these people and you're doing it multiple times a week, so you have to have personalities that get along well with each other and don't clash. It creates real problems if you have individuals that aren't good team players or have a lot of conflict with other people. So it is something they screen for quite a lot in the interview process. A lot of firefighters are all very similar. It's quite funny. You can meet a firefighter from a different country and it's like it's like a universal experience. They're all the friggin' same.
Actually, I was going to ask that. You said you became a qualified one. Does that mean you can go work in Aussie or States?
No, it's unfortunately it's not transferable like a degree would be. A few guys have gone over to Australia and stuff like that, but they have to do a recruit course again. So it's not a transferable skill, unfortunately.
Well, is there anything, and granted there could be quite a bit here, Joe, but something that we haven't asked you that you feel like we should have, or something we didn't touch upon, whether it's you or Bria?
We could go through like some of the types of jobs we go to, maybe.
Yeah, please.
Because I think that's a lot of stuff that people don't understand about us. They think we just do fires, and it all looks like Hollywood and stuff like that. So, if you'd be keen on that, we could go through some of that stuff.
Yeah, please, because I am thinking, either Jaws of Life or whatever they're called, or cats in a tree or a fire. Like, what are you going to?
Like Fireman Sam. So, So I've heard the best thing I heard was from one of my recruit calls trainers. He said on course, so if it's a medical emergency and someone's sick, they call an ambulance. If a crime's being committed, they call the police. And then for absolutely anything else, they end up calling the fire service. So our truck, it's basically, I call it a big red rolling toolbox with sort of 4 problem solvers on board. And we turn up at these most random incidents, or sometimes it can be small things like someone's locked out their house or they're stuck inside their office building or something like that, right? And it's like, it's our job to go try and like solve the problems.
Yeah.
So we like, especially now that fires are sort of reducing in number over the years, the fire service has had more and more responsibilities placed on it. So we're responsible for things like high angle rope rescues, hazardous materials responses, natural disasters like building collapses, and landslides and flooding, water rescues we cover now. It's such a broad range of responsibilities. It's not all just fire. Yeah.
Any animals, like Grace mentioned, cats up trees, but lost dogs, or are there anything like that?
Yeah, I've had cats in trees, dogs under decks, ducklings in a drain. Yeah, so we do get them. People are still cool for that. Yeah,
wicked. Oh, mate, it sounds like a wicked. It sounds like a job well suited to you. So, I mean, it's lovely to hear when people find their blooming calling. That's for sure. So, yeah, wicked. I think Grace has got a good finish, as she often asks.
Yes, thank you. Sign off question. And this isn't talking to the general mass, although they'll take a lot away from this. If you could go back to your year 12, 13 Joe specifically and give yourself advice, what would you say?
To go back and tell myself. I think there's a lot of pressure on high school kids these days, right? Like there's all this pressure of trying to decide what you want to do and where you're going to go in the next 5 years. It doesn't really matter that much. Like, as long as you've got, like, try and get university entry so you've got an option in case there's something you want to do there. Just to give yourself opportunities and options, right? But like what subjects you're taking doesn't really matter. Just take the stuff you enjoy. Like I wish I'd taken, I thought, I don't want to be a tradie, so I won't take these. I wish I'd taken like woodwork and metalwork and stuff like that now, just because it would be a cool set of skills to have picked up instead of having to pick them up outside of school. So yeah, and just like go travel if that's what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with taking 2 years to just go work and earn some money for a while. Like there's no pressure, right?
Yeah. Speaking our language there, Joe.
Yeah. Like so many people, I remember so many people going to uni straight out of school, and then so many of them don't use the degree or drop out halfway through, and it's like, don't rush into anything. Like you got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
That's
great. And I think we're hearing that even from people who have gone straight into what they're doing, that piece of advice of like, still keep your options open, get UE so that the option's there if you decide you want to go that way. But hopefully what Ludlam and I are doing here, and with the help of you, is saying like, get life experience, do what you enjoy, figure out what you don't like, and then hopefully in a couple of years' time, like when you actually did end up going, fire service, that's what I want to do, you were sure about it.
Yeah, you sort of just take the steps that you need to just do your research and go follow your dreams, I guess.
Yeah, and I suppose you're becoming part of our research, because I'm sure someone's entered the fire service and then realised they're claustrophobic, like that was the bit that got me. And really, they should have probably known that, but it's just not necessarily, unless a kid or anyone sits and listens to you. Suddenly, I think it dawns on us the job. It's the same in teaching. There'd be things I could say that people would go, "Oh, really? That's your job?"
Yeah.
Like you're a psychologist as well, and and it's. listening to people like you, it either really turns them on or makes them realize, man, I'm not cut out for this. Thanks, mate. Appreciate your time. And and your video you sent is gold.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, thank you. I was worried the audio wasn't quite right.
No, but it adds to it. We just add a little subtitle situation. So yeah, and also if people do want to ask more questions, or like, are you comfortable for us? Well, I won't send people directly to you, but if we get questions, we can ask you. They can reach out. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot of resources as well for people looking into the fire service. So if I don't know the answer, I can definitely find it for them.
Perfect.
And then
I'm
also,
sure the fire service will want to share this interview, Joe.
we'll see. Might have a disciplinary action next week when we come in.
No.
Also, with any paramedicine stuff, Talia, my partner's a paramedic at St. John's. So if anyone wants to reach out and ask questions about that, I'm sure I
Might be
can
an
find them
interview
answers.
for another day.
Yeah, I was like, well, Joe,
Yeah.
you're up.
Making a note, paramedic.
We look forward to seeing November of the fire calendar, 2026.
God, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. You send us the range of photos and I'll let Grace just choose the best one.
Thank you, Joe, very much for your time. I know you came off a night shift and all that stuff, so we really appreciate it.
No worries.
Yeah, mate. Take care. We'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you very much.